What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk and Xbox Podcast, episode number 71. I'm your host, Kevin, aka the Muffin Man, and today I'm joined by 4 of the 5 normal people here. We got the future of esports himself, Aman. How you doing?
I'm doing great as always. My esports journey is going well. Can't wait to talk about it more.
It's not going well. It's never going well. I wish you would stop lying to us. We also have Mr. Physical himself, Ethan. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Kevin. I'm ready to go.
I'm sorry, that sounds so wrong, Mr. Physical.
Mr. Physical Copy, Kevin. The lord of actually owning video games, because digital ownership is not ownership.
You can say it every week.
Strong Arm.
I have literally never gotten through an intro because of you people. You interrupt me every time.
We got to keep you on your toes.
We have the voice from the abyss, the double A man himself, Garrett. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Well,
at least someone is. At least someone. I'm glad to hear it. And we're once again honored to have a special guest. He is the host of the Gaming Circle podcast, panel member on Primetime Gaming over on friend of the show, Mr. Boomstick, and can often be found on other Boomstick streams and tons of other podcasts. He hops in here and there. I see him all the time. Someone I'm very happy to have on the show. Please welcome K.Asante. How are you doing, man?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate being here. I'm doing great, man. It's a way to cap off my work day, podcasting with some fine gentlemen. I'm ready to get into it. It's good.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you here. Obviously, you were introduced to me when I was on the Iron Lords podcast. And then we got to actually meet and podcast together when I was on Primetime Gaming. It was a lot of fun. And I was like, I got to have him on the show because he's full of energy and I like what he's bringing to the table.
Yeah. We're passionate in our gaming. It's what we do here. It's good. Yes. I'm happy to be here, talk games with you guys.
Well, as we ask most guests that come on the show, I want to know your first Xbox console and your favorite Xbox series.
Wow, that's an interesting question. My first Xbox console. Actually, I still have my first Xbox console. This will be probably a topic a conversation you haven't had with others. My first Xbox console was the OG Xbox with the Duke controller, and I still have it here because at that time I was I'm a bit of a techie, so I was kind of in that exploratory phase. So it is still alive. It's got an SSD connected. It does a whole bunch of interesting things it should not be doing, and it's still sitting in my living room right now. So this was during the time when people were fiddling with making the console do other things. XBMP, if you're not aware, creating a user interface for it and making it play music and videos and stuff like that. So there was an open source project where people were contributing code to it, and I was part of it. So at the time, you all had your own consoles, add new stuff to it, and mine's still kind of kicking along all these years later. Let's see. As to my favorite series, that has to be Halo. I mean, I think I have more hours in Halo than I have in anything else. So, especially even the Master Chief Collection. I played it for 3 years straight, something like that. So there you go.
Very nice. A lot of people come on here and say Halo, so it's always a classic, but obvious, you can't beat Halo, especially the first 3. Yeah. Do you like Infinite? Are you an Infinite guy?
Actually, believe it or not, I've been playing Halo for so many years. I've beaten and oddly enough, I'm more campaign than I am multiplayer. So I've beaten those campaigns like ridiculous amounts of times. I'm trying to get every achievement until Infinite showed up. Now I can't go back because without the grappling hook, I feel a little bit less than at this point. That's the only thing. It's just really weird. It really is. I've had Infinite installed as well as the Master Chief Collection for ever since they came out. I was lucky enough to get into the insider program for Xbox. So every time there was a new Halo build, they would send a new copy. So we've been playing it for years, but now it's kind of like if they don't put that grapple shot in the old ones, I'm probably never gonna go back. So yeah, I'm liking the new one a lot.
That's great. We all love it. Garrett, I don't know. I think I'm getting some background noise from you. If you want, if you could mute yourself for a minute there. But what up, Fuzzy Belvedere? Glad to see you in the chat. and Pyro. I'm
Yes.
here because of the awesome K.Asante, first-time watcher. Well, thank you so much. We hope
Thank
that you enjoy it. If you like what you see here, please consider subscribing. We do a podcast every week with lovely guests like K.Asante. But time to get through some housekeeping. So if you like the podcast we do, we are live every Thursday, usually at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Guests, sometimes we push it back, sometimes we pull it forward, depending on their schedule. We're very accommodating people. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time on your favorite podcast service. While you're over there, we'd love if you could drop us a review and rate us on Apple or Spotify. It does help us grow. And if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it live on the show. If you want to interact with us more, join our Discord. There's a link in the description. Come and chat games with us. And if you don't know, we have a Patreon. If you support us over there at any tier, you get early access to all our content besides this live show because it's live. But everything else will be there as soon as the video is finished. So thank you, Bucky Blue, for supporting our show. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, we start every podcast by going around the room and asking one simple question. And that question is, what you playing? So we start with our guests when they're here. So K.Asante, I want to know what you've been playing.
Oh, interesting. Let's see. I always tend to have something new from Game Pass in my rotation, just to play with something new as a content creator. I'm sure you guys can attest. Something new to tell the audience, something new to experience. This week it's been Dreamscaper. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's a very interesting little game. You can definitely tell its roots in the indie. It has very indie roots to it, but it's quite interesting in its a Metroidvania kind of a style. You get more powers every run. They give you more interesting things. You can combine them. You go room to room and you clear out enemies, and the enemies are very interesting. And the whole idea is you're this young girl who falls asleep at the beginning of every run. You fall asleep, and then falling asleep, you literally fall into the body of the protagonist of the game. It's been interesting. I've been playing it on, believe it or not, I've been playing it in xCloud as much as possible because it's one of those very light games that can just be picked up anywhere. So I've been playing on my PC here when I'm in my office, put it on my tablet when I'm on the go. It's been kind of cool. Just an interesting little something that Game Pass has offered that I didn't know I wanted to play. So I've been checking that out. I've also been playing Sifu on PC.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I have my roots in OG Mortal Kombat. You know, we used to read the Mortal Kombat Bibles and the combo moves and all that. So this is very much to me an evolution of that formula. Like if I had one dream, it would be that NetherRealm would steal this idea and make a Mortal Kombat adventure game with it. It is very hard, but I love it. It's a very good game. I was going to
ask you, is it difficult? I've been seeing different conversations.
The people that say you can beat this game in like 45 minutes, please show me that you can do that and you are a titan among men. Because boy, I'm 10 hours in and I'm a level 4 of 5, and it's just brutal. Like and you have to beat the level without getting too old. I'm sure you might have heard that the more you die, the more your age duplicates. So you can die at 20 and then you turn to 21, 22, 24, 26, and it compounds depending on how many times you get beat. And you pull some of that back when you beat like harder enemies in the level. So I'm at level 4 of 5, and I think I'm 32, 33, somewhere like that. So and that took 10 hours to get there. So
wow.
So yeah, it's really fun, but I'm old school. I'm from the time where, you know, you had Double Dragons and all that kind of beat 'em up stuff. So this seems like an evolution in that direction. So I've been really enjoying it, and pretty apt. The final game I've been playing, which I guess we're talking about, is CyberPunk. So I will leave that one towards the topic, but I've been playing CyberPunk. I've been replaying CyberPunk for obvious reasons. Yes.
Okay. Just a spoiler alert for my What You Playin. I don't have anything besides CyberPunk, and I'm not going to talk about it until we get to the news.
Oh, there we go. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to keep you waiting, Ethan. I know you're dying to know my thoughts on the game. But
I'm dying to know more than him. I've been waiting for a year to get you to play it.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I've been waiting as well.
Listen, everyone else on the panel has played it and tells me how amazing it is. So when the next gen update dropped, I was like, I'm finally gonna play it, guys. So they're all eagerly anticipating because I've done nothing but send double-faced memes to them, being like, "Do I like it? Do I not like it?" So,
He's been
For a
terrible
year.
at Discord.
Pyro in the chat says he's playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and starting Skull or Edge of Eternity
Skull
right
is
now.
so good. Skull is so fun.
I did try Edge of Eternity, didn't like it, uninstalled after an hour. I'm gonna go to Ethan. What you been playing?
So unfortunately, I did drop Edge of Eternity. It just got to be too much. It was very bland. So you made some points, I think, in the podcast last week, Kevin, about it. I would pretty much reiterate what you said, how it's just kind of uninspired, and it's very janky. Like I remember getting into the main city, and there was crowds of hundreds of people, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, but none of them moved. They're all just kind of standing in place, just like looking at each other, and it was kind of creepy. So you could tell this was a game that was kind of unfinished. I do want to quickly touch on CyberPunk. I probably put 5 or 6 hours into it the last 2 days. Again, just like K.Asante said, I'm not going to get too far into it because that is going to be one of our topics. But one of the games that I've been really getting into is MLB The Show 21, because we've seen all the promotional stuff for MLB The Show 22. I wanted to jump back into 21 because I played it when it first came to Game Pass. And it's a blast. I mean, it just sucks you into that game loop. It really addicts you to that, just the cycle of constantly playing games. I play mostly Road to the Show, where you play as your own player, and he's a switch player, which means he's a pitcher and a position player, and which is kind of the whole draw to MLB The Show 21. Where they really changed up how that mechanic works, which I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's a wonderful video game, and I'm really excited to see what MLB The Show 22 has in store for us. And then the last game I've been playing a lot is Dying Light 2. Me and Garrett have put in probably 25 hours into it, and you guys know I have a phobia of zombies.
Yep.
And I'm terrified of zombies, so I need Garrett there to hold my hand and tell me everything is okay. And we have a very interesting story about that. I'll let Garrett tell the story whenever it's his turn to talk about it, because I think he can tell it better than me. But we had some insane escapades on that video game. So,
well, if you don't have anything else, I'll kick it over to Garrett. What you playing? I want to hear this Dying Light 2 story.
Okay. So, Dying Light. Where did I leave off last week? I think like I had my little scale where it was like the ranges of glitches that I expect in games, going from like Skyrim to Cyberpunk. So the scale, throw that in the trash. Pinnacle of that tower is now Dying Light 2.
Oh no.
So like, let's go through like little comedic glitches of dragons soaring 30, 40 feet in Skyrim, or you get your infinity elevators in Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep.
Dying Light 2 is great, even in co-op as a one or two player game. Amazing. He's really good at running in fright and parkour. I'm really good at crowd control. It's great teamwork.
Yep.
But if you add a third person, complete and utter glitchy
things get
mayhem breaks
weird.
out. Like, I'm saying people teleport, and then that was the first day, and on the last day, it simultaneously destroyed 3 games.
Yep.
With just him entering. So what happened is he came in, and then we all got sort of hand tossed around into the game, where the guy who was furthest in the game got thrown back to Ethan's story. I got locked out of my quests in my story. I couldn't do the power stations. And then Ethan was tossed all the way to the end of the game, where he didn't have a parachute or anything. Like, he was just among skyscrapers.
We had swapped saves. Literally,
everybody
swapped saves.
Everybody like did a shuffle and swapped a save. And I have never heard of that before. Ever.
When I had initially spawned in, when this guy joined, the third person that we're talking about, we teleported to a part of the city that I hadn't accessed before. And at that point, I got about 15 quest completed messages going. And I got this guy named Frank, who I've never met before in my life. in Dying Light 2, and he's having 20 different conversations with me at the same time. And I don't know what's going on. And so the game was completely broken. We couldn't access any missions. And so I had to delete a 20-hour save.
Oh, I was going to say, is it fixed now?
No. I had to completely restart the game.
See, I kept mine. But there is a positive between playing with my story and playing through Ethan's. I had about 48 hours on my playthrough or something like that.
Okay.
And if you want to go through, it takes about 11 hours speedrunning style to get through it again. Like, that's how, if you want to cut out the dialogue, you could cut it down from 48 to 11.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
I think that's pretty insane.
I would uninstall.
Maybe.
Guys,
oh yeah, you go ahead.
This sounds like the same bug that the Ascent had when it first released.
Yes,
I tried the same game, and that exact same switching of different game saves areas. Same thing happened during the Ascent. It was cleaned up afterwards, but it sounds very similar.
Yeah, it's like your co-op partner's save just overwrit your save. And Mayday Bomber in the chat said I would just quit. I was on the fence there, but I love the gameplay of Dying Light 2 so much that I just really wanted to continue. And luckily, I wasn't too far on into the story, so I can eat, maybe 20 hours of gameplay. That's probably my max that I can delete. Anything
20
past
hours.
that,
yeah, that's more than bro.
I'm a
more patient man than I am.
I'm a college student.
hours.
I got a lot of time on my hands, so luckily enough. But
oh my lord, guys, that's a tale. That's a horrible tale. I mean,
it was crazy.
You read the IGN reviews, okay?
Yeah, and so I was gonna ask, do you think that's better or worse than all of your gear going missing in Outriders?
Oh, it's worse. That's worse.
You still got to access your progress wasn't gone. I thought it was. I thought you just got reset back to 0 with nothing.
No, my gear was just gone and I couldn't log in. I was just stuck in a loop where my guy was naked and I couldn't log in. After a few weeks, when they fixed it, I got all my gear back and then it was fine. But
see, I saved that save file just in case. But yeah, I didn't know you deleted it, Ethan. That sucks.
Yeah, I would uninstall that game. Shout out to Soul Khan in the chat. K.Asante, a beast, he says. Thanks for stopping by. Glad to see some new faces here. K.Asante bringing over some homies. So
I appreciate that. Make the community a bit bigger. Why not? Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Actually, I wanted to ask K.Asante one thing because I sort of got lost in thought with all the possibilities after he said OG Xbox with an SSD. How much of an edge did you get in Fusion Frenzy?
That's hilarious. Actually, I've been playing Fusion Frenzy with the family a little bit, but you play with kids, you got to let them win. It is what it is. You got to let them win a little bit. Actually, I've been playing Fusion Frenzy on the Series X, believe it or not. Cleaner graphics and all that. But yes, the old school one can still handle Fusion Frenzy. It's all good.
Very nice. Aman, you're gonna round out what you're playing. So, what you playing?
This week has all been PlayStation for me.
Wow.
I recently got 13 Sentinels. Wow, this game is fantastic. The story, the plot alone is great. The only place where I say it would lack is probably the combat. The real-time strategy combat isn't really my type of combat, which I prefer. But other than that, the story is fantastic. I played it for 12 hours straight. that's how immersive the story is. Yes, I would say it's better than the plot of Persona 5.
Oh no, get out of here. There's
I'm serious. I'm a massive Persona 5 fan, and this was really immersive. I also played Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because I just given up. It's never coming on Xbox. So finally got it on PlayStation. Solid so far. I can't complain. Only put in a few hours in, but pretty good so far.
Mayday Bomber in the chat says, I wanted to like 13 Sentinels, but the art style is such a turn off.
The story was just so immersive. The plot.
And he also says, go away with that nonsense. Fair point. My thing is, though, you got Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4. Why didn't you just wait till you got your PS5?
I'm probably not going to get a PS5 till Spider-Man 2.
Bro, Final Fantasy VII Remake ain't going nowhere. It'll be there for you.
But again, there was that PlayStation sale. It was only for $15. I'm like, might as well get it.
Do you get a free upgrade? You do, right?
Hmm?
Is
I
that
think
free
so. Yeah.
upgrade? Okay. All right. Then that's
I
a little
think so.
better. It's a little better. I didn't have a PS4, so I paid $80 or whatever for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Little salty, but guys, we're done with what you're playing. So it's a time for a segue. Have a seat, and I grab some books from the library and tell you this week's stories. So story number 1. CyberPunk 2077's next gen update, DLC, and more are out with patch 1.5. This brings ray tracing features and 4K with dynamic scaling, faster loading times, and a variety of other visual and technical improvements. They have changed the perk trees. You will need to redistribute all the perks you had because they wanted to rebalance the game and eliminate useless perks. They've improved AI behavior to enhance combat encounters, improve driving mechanics. Crowds don't despawn if you spin around now, which I thought was funny. You have improved crowd and traffic mechanics. There will be new apartments in Night City, and you'll be able to customize your apartment and appearance more. They're also adding new activities such as playing the guitar for improved roleplay mechanics. And you have improved relationship mechanics, allowing you to message romantic partners more and invite them over at night. The upgrade is available now for all next-gen consoles and brings with it 60 FPS if you're playing in performance on Series X. If you are playing on Series S, you are locked to 30 FPS, 1440p, no ray tracing. Ray tracing on Xbox Series X is 30 FPS, and you have not great ray tracing, if I'm being honest, guys. But, guys, I'm going to go first because this is the moment y'all been waiting for, you know? I've never played Cyberpunk, all right? So I put in 3 hours to the 5-hour trial, and then I uninstalled it because I do not enjoy this game. This was an incredibly boring 3 hours of my life that I will never get back.
How do you enjoy JRPGs, but you say that?
Let him talk, Garrett. Let him talk,
bro.
Okay, fine.
So what I will say is I like the character customization, like that. I like the amount you can customize them. I like some of the RPG mechanics in this game. And by that, I mean the skill tree. And that's basically where it ends because I found the dialogue options were basically pointless. So I went corpo, and I don't understand why they give you the option for multiple dialogue if it doesn't change anything. Because there were multiple times where I would choose the corpo option, and then it would just bring me back and make me select the other one. What is the point in giving me options if you're going to make me choose one at the end anyway? Just make me say that. So for me, that did not work. I did not like that aspect of the role playing. But I think the biggest offender, and I will say the game looks gorgeous on Series X. The absolutely beautiful. I played in performance. I thought it was a really pretty game. Night City felt alive. I was walking around. I was like, okay, this is what they were talking about. Like, I'm here. I'm experiencing the world. But the combat feels incredibly janky to me. I do not like the feeling of shooting any guns that I tried. The melee combat felt really awkward. And I did like stealth. I did like the stealth mechanics, and some of the hacking was pretty cool that I did. I felt that was a cool skill tree to go down if I was going to play more. But then you get in the car and driving feels bad to me. I do not. They said they improved it. I did not think so at all. I was like, this is not a good controlling car. Like,
you should have felt it in 2020.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I got no comparison point. But I was sitting there. I was like, this is what they improved. Like, maybe you should have spent less time putting burnouts in the game and more time fixing the actual driving. Overall, I'm pretty disappointed because I can see there are aspects and there's a world where I could like this game. I just don't think that this is a game as it stands for me. And I'm starting to think maybe I just don't like CD Projekt Red because I didn't like The Witcher 3 either. I also found that one pretty boring. And I love RPGs. I love JRPGs, but their games are not hitting for me. And I completely understand why they work for everyone else, but it's not for me. Is where I'm at with it. So now you can criticize. Come at me.
Oh no,
No,
I agree with you on The Witcher 3. I thought it was like a really great world and everything, but the potion gathering was a little bit much. But it's a part of the lore. But
Mhm.
as far as Cyberpunk goes, how dare you?
oh my gosh.
No, just kidding. I got back into it. I really liked it. Haven't had too much time with it. Probably about maybe the same as you since the new update, 3 to 5 hours. I've been playing a lot more Dying Light, but
Mhm.
the new ninjutsu looks cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in the skill tree.
yeah, by some of them, by changing some of the perks, they actually mean like the entire cool that ninjutsu one wasn't there before.
Mm.
Whole tree's new.
Oh.
So that's all about like knife play and recovering your knife and adding effects and whatnot. So that's nifty. I do that in quick hacking.
I will say before we talk about the actual story, the glitches are not gone. I had 2 glitches in the 3 hours I played. I had some T posing, and then I had
Really?
Jackie.
I've never.
Yeah, I had some
I've
T
never had
posing, and then I had Jackie walk through a wall. So yeah,
Classic.
so it was the first mission you do with Jackie, where you go find the body in the bathtub. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When we have to leave, he was just like, "I'm going through the wall instead." I was like, "Okay, bro, that's one way to do it." Aman, your Cyberpunk was your game of the year 2020 and game of the generation, according to you. So come at me, and then
future game of the generation. There's still
Okay.
time. Give it some time. After update 1.8 rolls out, definitely.
1.8. Okay. I want to talk about
But yeah, I think I just like open world games, and this is probably
Mm.
one of the most immersive open world games I've played in a long time. I think the last time I was this immersed in an open world game was probably Batman Arkham Knight. But yeah, I just love Night City. That you can go to. I picked Nomad. I'm restarting the entire story again after this 1.5 patch, and yeah, I think it looks way better than what it did like a year
Mhm.
ago.
Okay. Well, that wasn't nearly the lashing I thought I was going to get. So let's talk about the actual news story I read. I'm going to throw it to K.Asante, our guest. You said you jumped back in. How do you feel about the changes they've made, the new patch, the upgrade?
So first and foremost, unpopular opinion from me. I love this game.
Okay.
I have
It's
Not
not
loved this
unpopular
game
here.
for a long
Not
time.
that. Yeah, you're in the
So-
right place.
while you guys were chatting, I kind of looked up. So if you use the GOG Galaxy app, which is for the PC version of GOG, which is also owned by CDPR, by the way, it aggregates all your games in one place. And even if the same game is played on multiple systems, it aggregates it all and tells you what your one time is. All through aggregation, I've put 78 hours and 49 minutes into this game, and I've done so on PC, on Xbox, and on PlayStation. I first played it on PC when it first came out because it was the best place to possibly play it. Bugs galore. We know this, right? And then when it dropped like a stone in price, I bought it for $10 on Xbox and $10 on PlayStation. So now I have it on all 3 systems. Now, there are bugs in this game still, even after the 1.5, but I honestly think that much like most of CDPR, people forget how The Witcher 3 released, and The Witcher 2 for that matter. They start off buggy, horrible messes, and they tune it for years to come. I hope that the Cyberpunk didn't get such a bad name to the point where they kind of like let it go. I hope they keep tuning it like they did with The Witcher, because The Witcher is now, for those who like it, it is now like the game it should have been when it first released, right? And I honestly think they're heading in the right direction with Cyberpunk. The mistake, in my opinion, they made was not cutting the last gen consoles loose from jump, because scaling it at that level just could not be. A lot of the issues you're noticing, the T-posing, people not being on the streets, is because of the CPU. You can't, no matter what you do, you can't fudge that, right? You can add as much graphics as you want, but if you're dealing with the lowest common denominator being a very weak processor, you're always hung up by it. But the game itself, I think, is very fun. I I like the story. You played 3 hours of the 5, meaning when you finish playing it, you were still with Jackie, right?
Yeah, I was still a Jackie.
Jackie's
Yeah.
still a living friend.
You've barely
Oh, yeah, I know.
even played that game. Like
Yeah.
it is so much more. Like I remember Jackie fondly, but I'll just leave it at that. You know, but there's a lot to that game. There's so like I've even saw trailers and some kind of reviews that show characters that I haven't met yet, and I've been playing the game for 78 hours. I haven't met them yet. There's just a lot to this world, and they struck. You know, they really shot for the moon, if you will, in this game. And yeah, because of that, there are many doors that don't ever open. Because of that, the versatility of the world is very vast. You can very, very high. You know, lots of crazy nooks and crannies. But the gunplay is not as bad as GTA, but still not great. I'm sorry, GTA's gunplay is terrible. This is much better than that, but not as great as it should be. The driving, absolutely dreadful. It was worse before this 1.5. Now 1.5 kind of gives you a bit more maneuverability, but it's still absolute trash. I hear you on that. And to answer your question, Kevin, you know how you were saying, how is it that they give you so many options, but it always ends to the same story? It's basically supposed to add color. So like if you're a corpo and the subject matter lends to your expertise, you get more information because you know the right question to ask. If you don't ask that right question, that nugget of information they were providing would not be provided for you. So like another situation where I'm a nomad or something, certain situations will present themselves that a corporal would not get certain details because I'm a nomad and I can, you know, get that information. Does it mean more in the long run because there's always that one yellow answer? No, it doesn't. It's just more nuggets to, you know. But by and large, it's an awesome world to just drive around in, you know. And one more piece before I let it go. You're absolutely right about the ray tracing. If you're playing this on console for ray tracing, don't, because like this game is, I wouldn't say it's badly optimized. You know, I've lived long enough to remember when everybody used to ask, can your PC run Crysis? Now it's can your PC run Cyberpunk and Flight Sim? Those are the two that, you know. Flight Sim actually needs your machine's power. Cyberpunk is kind of overusing it, I think, a little bit. You know, so I kind of understand why it's so difficult to get it to run even on Series S, because on PC I have like a 3080. I've been lucky, I have a pretty good machine. Even there, you need DLSS. You need as many tricks of the trade to get it to run at a stable 60 or whatever. So, you know, I'm just hoping that CDPR continues to do what they've always been doing, which is over time, keep tweaking, and before long, you know, people can actually see the game for what it is rather than all the bugs. You know.
Ethan, your thoughts on the next gen upgrade?
So I've gotten to the pivotal point with Jackie Wells, and everyone that's played the game knows what I'm talking about. That's basically where.
Bro, I
it's
know
actually,
what you're talking about. I've seen it. I
you've
didn't
seen
play
it.
the game, but
Okay,
I know
so
what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm actually paused on my TV right now because I'm in a cutscene that I can't like pause. So I have it set on my TV right now, and I'm about to play it right after this podcast. But yeah, this next gen upgrade really made the game a lot smoother for me. A lot of the times when this game would chug, especially menu, just even like menu scrolling, like feels smoother in this next gen upgrade. So far, I'm really happy with it. Things are a lot smoother. There's a lot less glitches. There are still some glaring issues, like you were saying, Kevin. Like for example, I was going into the All Foods warehouse with Jackie once, and he just decided to walk through my car. So I had the same issue that you were having with that wall. So it's not fully finished yet, but I think we're really taking a step in the right direction here. And I absolutely respect your opinion, Kevin, with what you're saying about the RPG elements. I understand where you're coming from. I think the setting for me is just such an inviting and exciting setting that I think that I'm getting really immersed into this story again, because I played through this game back in 2020, and I was lucky enough to have played it on the Series X. I was lucky enough to have one at that time, so I had a good first experience. So this is just nothing but an improvement for me. Yes, the driving is still kind of jank, but it is significantly improved from where it was. So far, I think this is a great step in the right direction. I hope it pulls more people into the fold. I like that they did this 5-hour kind of demo, basically.
Yep.
With
Great
this
move.
game, it was an incredible move, and I think it's a move they had to make because with all the bad press coming out, people weren't going to buy this game, no matter how many updates they said they made. So I think it's a great move for them, and I think a lot of people are going to look at it and go, "Yeah, this is actually a pretty quality product that I want to play." There's still work to do. I trust in CD Projekt Red to continue that work. It seems like they are committed to fixing the issues in this game. And I'm looking forward to the future because I'm still wanting some DLC for this game. I still hope that they're going to give us some additional content because for me the main story is actually kind of quick, in comparison to other big open world games. But there's so much to do on the side stories for this too. If you're 100% completionist like me, you're going to spend at least 100+ hours into this world. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this next gen upgrade, and I think it's doing a lot for the product.
I think one thing is you were talking about like you love the world and the cyberpunk aesthetic isn't something that like I appeals to me. So I think it was always like an uphill battle, but I was hoping that the gameplay and like RPG mechanics could carry me through. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but
And another thing I want to highlight is just the immersiveness of this game. Just being in a rundown bar, talking to your fixer about this huge job that you're doing. I mean, you just feel so immersed in this world. I think that's one of the biggest draws for me because when I play video games, I mean, I'm fully enveloped into what's going on. I feel like I'm actually in the shoes of this player or of this character. And I think just the way this story plays, I know you didn't get too far into it. You didn't get to that pivotal moment with Jackie. I would encourage you just to at least play till that pivotal moment that I'm talking about. And you obviously know what it is. I don't want to say any spoilers. But again, if you play that to that point and you still don't like it, I respect that opinion. But I think that's really when the game really picks up steam and you get to see this full world come together and you get really immersed into what's going on.
Okay. All right. I'll consider it. We got some games coming up as well.
I know it's a busy month.
which
it's amazing that they dropped it in like February, right? Between all the craziness. Like,
what were they thinking?
How would you do that?
That was my next question. I was gonna, Aman, with Horizon and Elden Ring coming out tomorrow and next week, why would they drop it this week? Why wouldn't they?
I think they just wanted to get it out as soon as possible, because of like they've received like hate for the last year, so they just wanted to get it out as soon as possible, I guess. So.
I just feel like, what's the difference if they put it out in March? Like nobody knew it was coming out in February. It's not like all we knew was it was coming start of 2022.
Yeah, they could have done it in March. That would have made more sense.
It's a little less crowded than right now, where you got Horizon Forbidden West coming out tomorrow.
And then Elden Ring the week after.
Yeah, for real. Any other comments on Cyberpunk before we go on to story number 2? I want to make sure everyone has their chance to speak on the next gen upgrade.
If you haven't played it, please play it. It's a good game.
Yeah.
It's also on sale everywhere, and it's got a 5-hour trial, so you can.
Do you guys think it's gonna come on Game Pass soon?
I think that would be a good move.
I suspect that's a move we will probably see. Yeah,
it would be a good move for him to do it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why the Twitter Xbox thing, Game Pass thing dropped, because they're about to put like the CDPR with the purchase.
No, get out of here, man. God, you always have nonsense. I thought you were gonna make a valid point, and then you go.
No.
Oh my Lord. Okay, we're moving on. Story number 2, guys. And this comes from Jordan Midler over at Video Game Chronicles. Quote, Martha is Dead, the upcoming game from Wired Productions and LKA, has had content removed in the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 versions of the game. Announced in a Twitter statement from the team, they claim, quote, the Xbox and PC versions of the game would be unaffected. It would not specify which content would be removed. The team said Martha is Dead is a narrative adventure recommended for adult audiences only, with play consisting of potentially discomforting scenes and themes that may distress some players. It is with regret that we have had to modify the experience on the PS5 and PS4 versions, with some elements no longer playable. After over 4 years of passion and hard work, developer LKA now requires extra time to make these unplanned changes. Martha is Dead, as a result, will still launch digitally on PS5 and PS4 on Thursday, February 24th, but the physical release will be delayed. It is heavily expected, or it's heavily speculated, I should say, that the scene being censored is a sequence where you need to take a razor blade and cut off a dead person's face using quick time events. So I wanted to have a discussion. This was going around about game censorship and how we feel, because obviously PC and Xbox, we're getting the complete package of this game. If you get it on PlayStation 4 and 5, you might have some scene cut out or not be able to play it. People are unsure what is actually going on. Garrett, you didn't talk much in the last one, so I'm going to throw it to you. How do you feel about this game potentially having some censorship? To some extent, will on PlayStation. We just don't know the full effects.
We don't know the full effects yet, right? So we're not sure if it's gameplay or just cutscenes.
Something is being censored. People think it's the scene where you're cutting off someone's face.
Okay. Well, if you say it like that, it makes a bit of sense. But no, just kidding. They should never really cut full scenes. Like, I think that's taking art away. It's like taking the bottom inch of the Mona Lisa because you thought you're offended by, like, let's say her shirt cut was a little bit too low. Like, let's get real here. Like, you should never really censor out bits of that. Like, even Mass Effect just changed their camera angle on their thing. Like, you should never actively cut stuff out. So I think that's a little bit ridiculous. Let the creators and the artists do their thing. But I don't know. I think that's pretty quaint and punctual. I think I left enough so that everyone else can go.
All right. K.Asante, what do you make of this situation?
So yeah, I've been following this a little closely myself, and and to add to even insult to injury, if you will, the scene that they're discussing that people are speculating is, it also happens to be the face of a young dead girl, and you see, I see where they're going with it, but to me, Mortal Kombat brought about the rating system, right? And since then, we've been using said rating system. Like, the hardest rating that has never come out. I don't think we've ever seen a game that has it, is the AO, adults only. If you guys feel so strongly about it, put an AO on it, right? But to cut pieces of it, I think that's just unfortunate, and that should not be. It should not be how platform holders move forward, right? Clearly, putting the AO on there by itself. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second here. I think
you can finish
maybe
your,
having.
you can finish your
I'm sorry.
point.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make you aware.
Oh, okay, understood. And I will actually change my mic, and it will sound better as soon as I do so. Does it sound better now?
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, putting the AO on there usually is the kiss of death for somebody who's making content, right? So if you really feel strongly about, hey, what you're putting out there is not something that we want on our platform, put the AO on it and make sure that people know that this is adults only. But to insist on chopping it up or removing it, that is a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. I know that for other games like Wolfenstein, for instance, they have to create almost a whole different version for Germany for obvious reasons, So yeah, it's kind of a difficult one way or another. I do see why they would want to censor some of those parts, because it is a little bit disturbing. But there are ratings for a reason, in my opinion.
And I think Pyro in the chat makes that point. He says Sony PlayStation should really leave the actual rating boards, or actually let the actual rating boards, I assume that's what I mean, decide the rating, and let gamers choose to experience the game as intended, not add an extra level of censorship on top for their system. I think that's an excellent point. Aman, I'm going to go to you next. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I echo pretty much the exact same thoughts as Garrett and K.Asante here. I'm pretty sure the reason they're cutting out some of this stuff is because some cultural issues. Because again, Sony is a Japanese company.
Mm.
There might be some cultural conflict we might not know of. That could be a reason they're cutting it out. But again, they could just add a disclaimer like what Xbox did to Cyberpunk on their store. They added a disclaimer saying, "Oh, this game is not in the best playable state at the moment." They could just add a disclaimer saying that it has this so and so game has disturbing scenes. So yeah,
And
I
to add one more thing to it, what you're
Mhm.
describing there, cultural good, but then I present to you The Last of Us 2.
I was
And
gonna
then
bring that
everybody
up.
goes,
Again,
You're
yeah,
telling
again,
you're,
yeah,
t-
fair
you're
enough.
telling me
That's
it's
a fair
okay
point.
to smash
Yeah.
people's faces with
Yeah.
golf clubs and shoot them
But
in the
it's
neck.
exclusive, guys. It's different. It's by PlayStation themselves.
you know,
They
that's what
they
makes it even
budgeted
more
it. It's
egregious.
allowed.
It makes
Yeah.
it a bit weirder because they themselves have made something that, by and
Fair
large,
enough.
everyone will agree is like, ooh, that's tough.
Disturbing, uncomfortable. You have
I
to
don't know,
torture
Yeah.
people
man.
in that game.
yeah, yeah.
PlayStation's just had a very weird cycle this time around. I don't know. But yeah. I was
Ethan.
I was just quoting. Go on.
hmm Ethan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I'm kind of torn on this issue because I do believe Sony has every right to determine what belongs on its platform. It's a private
Mhm.
company. If they don't want something on their platform, then that's their prerogative
Yep.
to either censor it or ban it outright. But for me personally, we have ESRB. That is our self-regulating rating agency. It's the same thing that happened to comic books back in the 1950s, where we had to have a self-regulating agency come in because a bunch of politicians got upset about the content of the artwork that was being put out. So it's kind of weird. I mean, I'd like to say Sony, I don't agree with this, but again, like I said, it's their right. So I really can't question what they're doing here. Um, yeah, I don't know. The developers of this game, it's artwork to them. This is their I believe video games are art. That's my personal opinion. That's how they want their games to be played. It's the same argument with From Software. People keep saying you need to make your games easier. That's not how they want you to play their games.
Mhm.
Martha is Dead developers, that's not how they want you to play their games. And in a way, I think this might be Sony bullying small developers because I don't see this type of censorship going towards EA or Ubisoft or any of the other big developers out there that are making games that are just as gory and graphic as Martha is Dead. I mean, this is a tiny, small, little Italian indie development team. They know they can get away with censoring them and they can't say anything about it. So yeah, I don't know. I think Sony should just trust in the ESRB rating system. If they believe a game is rated AO, then that's that. If it's rated M, that's that. I just don't understand it. I don't think it's good for the brand. I don't think it's good for their image. But it hasn't hurt them before, so they're just going to keep doing it. It's just unfortunate, but again, I think Sony retains the rights to do this. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
torn on the situation.
Yeah, I feel you. I think I said it maybe on Reddit somewhere that Sony has every right, just like Twitter has every right and Facebook has every right to decide who is on their platform. My issue
Right.
comes with the fact that one, you have the ESRB, let them decide, as you were saying, and it got an M rating, I believe. So it's
Yes.
already been rated. They've had 4 years working on this game, and there's been previews of this game. It's not like Sony just now found out, like, hey, that game releasing next week. We cut someone's face off in that one. Like, this game has
Yeah.
had preview builds. It's been around. The information has been out there. Why wait so long to censor it? Because now you're punishing people that might have wanted this game physically. Do I think this game is going to sell amazingly? No, it's a very niche indie horror game, but
Yeah.
you're still punishing certain players that may have wanted to pick this up on your platform, and especially the physical copies.
Yeah.
I think.
And you go
Sorry.
ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, I think that Sony is allowed to make the decision. I think everyone else is allowed to realize it's a pretty stupid and hypocritical decision of them to do it. You can make dumb decisions. It's every right, but doesn't mean that
Right.
the player base has to sit here and be like, that makes a lot of sense, because there are games that deserve to be censored in
Right.
my opinion. And those constitute things such as child pornography. We've seen that on the
Exactly.
Steam. You're
Right.
not allowed to put stuff like that in there. And then there's other games that just have no artistic value, like Super Columbine RPG Massacre. That's a real
Yeah.
game, by the way. People are messed up. That stuff, no artistic value. You do not deserve your game published.
But that
I'm all
enters
for
kind
that.
of in the realm of criminality. You know what I mean? There's a reason why they're censoring these games. In my opinion, hardcore gore, while it can be obscene to some people, I don't think it fits the level of criminality of those examples that you said. And I do want to go to a point. You guys were talking about The Last of Us. The Last of Us Remastered was actually censored by Sony. Dismemberment was removed from multiplayer in Europe, and gore was toned down, and cutscene camera angles were changed in Japan. So Sony has a long history of even policing its own first-party games. Final Fantasy 14, some job icon was changed because of people with the phobia of the lots of holes. You know, the
Oh
square
yeah,
that give birth out of their back.
tryptophobia, I think.
Yeah, so there's and Metal Gear Solid 5 was even censored in Japan because of gore. So Sony has a long history of this, but normally it's not worldwide. It's usually based in, so like K.Asante said, Wolfenstein being censored for Germany because of Nazi imagery and stuff like that. But yeah, Sony definitely has a long history of this. Again, they retain all rights, but I don't think it's necessarily right because it's art, in my opinion, and art needs to be seen in its full glory.
It's also just another. Media Bomber says Sony censors the box art of Neptunia games for physical releases. Anyone not familiar? That's a JRPG series, often with scantily clad women as their dress. But I think one of my things I'm struggling with is there are worse things in movies. I love the Saw franchise.
Right.
I'm gonna say it right. I love the Saw franchise. I guarantee you anything I see in the Saw movies is worse than what I'm going to do in Martha is Dead. There is no way someone put the Saw movies into a game. And it's not just like Saw movies. There are critically acclaimed movies with awful things that happen in them. And if we want video games to be taken more seriously as an art form, why are we putting unfair restrictions on them that we don't put on these movies?
And, I think that's to put the point that you're saying, we don't have congressional hearings about movies cause violence. And I think that's what Sony is trying to avoid with these censorship things. I mean, some of these things create moral panic with people that are outside of our world in terms of gaming. Movies are kind of international. Everyone watches movies. So it doesn't create the moral panic necessarily that video games create, but people on the outside looking in, they see these things and they get scared. And, to a point, I understand, they're just ignorant of how things work within our industry and about the artwork of video games. But yeah, I think this is very much Sony just trying to save face, avoid things like that, both in the Japanese government and the American government. They don't want all the publicity. They don't want headlines on the New York Times saying this is just a gore fest. This is causing people to create violence. So I don't know. I appreciate Xbox and Valve and all the other developers that are pushing against censorship and saying, no, this is what it is. This is our artwork. This is our vision for what these games need to be. Sony just isn't willing to take that jump.
And I will say I have reached out to the developers to try to get a review code for this game for us. So I will gladly promote this on Xbox, fully uncensored. So we'll see what happens with them. But anyone else got anything to say on Martha is Dead before we move on? Okay. Well, story number 3, we're gonna have a little break here from the news, is just your Game Pass update. So as we do twice a month here, we let you know what games are coming to Xbox Game Pass, so you can plan your game accordingly. I was gonna say available now, but it actually got delayed. Lawn Mowing Simulator for Xbox One was going to come out today. It has been delayed. So if you're interested in the Xbox One version, it's not available. The Xbox Series X and PC version of that game is on Game Pass already. We have Madden NFL 22 console and PC, Total War Warhammer 3 PC, and then February 22nd RoboQuest for PC, February 24th Galactic Civilizations 3 for PC, Super Mega Baseball 3 for console, And February 28th, we get Alice Madness Returns for PC. Guys, I'm gonna say it. Not a great month. Not a great month for Xbox Game Pass, in my opinion.
Yep.
And a quick question for me.
Yeah.
Has Crossfire X finally put their campaign in Game Pass? Because it's
I
still
believe
not there.
I believe so. I believe
They have?
so there's from what my understanding, because I talked about
half of that campaign. Yes,
I did a lot about Crossfire X this week on the channel. So if you missed those videos, go check them out. But when I was playing on Monday, the campaign was not available.
Okay.
I was told by community members on Tuesday that you can't download the campaign through the Game Pass app. You have to download the multiplayer
within the game
into the game, and then it is unlocked now. Is my understanding.
Okay,
so
I will check that out, because I know that has been a thing for a while, and I've just kind of been looking at them with a side eye, because I didn't believe them when they said it was a problem. I don't know. And Microsoft was very notoriously quiet about the whole thing. So
they kept
I just wanted to know.
They removed Crossfire X from a lot of their promotional stuff after all that.
They're doing very much a nothing to see here kind of approach to that thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got like a 42 on Metacritic, I think. So
yeah. So what are you going to do?
Not hot, but guys, any of these games sticking out to you? I will say Alice Madness Returns I own on Steam already, and that's a very fun game. So if you have PC Game Pass and want to play an old style platformer with some good puzzles, check that one out. But for me, there's nothing here, and this is the second drop in a row where I'm like, there's nothing appealing to me.
Total Warhammer, Warhammer 3. The only reason I care about it is because it's on my fantasy draft thing. And hopefully it gets good reviews.
It's on your fantasy draft?
Yeah, it is.
I totally missed that. So it's sitting at an 89 on Metacritic last I looked.
Oh, okay then. That's
Not
perfect.
bad.
So
That's perfect.
You're getting some points there. Good pickup. I didn't know you had that one. Ethan, anything?
I know Garrett's excited about Lawn Mowing Simulator, but
it's
I like
be
it.
Great. No,
Yeah, he can figure out the lawn height thing that he was talking about.
Finally.
But NFL 22, that's a good pickup for Game Pass. I hope it's kind of a sign that we're going to see maybe mainline NFL games come to Game Pass day and date. That would be interesting. Other than that, I don't got much to say. None of these games really speak to me. So,
Garrett, your turn.
Oh, sorry, my thing kept remuting. Is there even anything that's for just console? Because like most of what you said was for PC there, right?
No, there's
not nothing. I'll be playing Elden Ring with Ethan at the end of the month, but that's about
amen.
it.
Not an Elden Ring guy. I don't do those Souls games. You guys have fun. I'm gonna be playing Monarch on my PS5.
Oh, there's a lot of games coming out. Jeez, I need to get Monarch as well.
That's my February game. So I'm glad I didn't pick it up for fantasy draft though, because it's sitting at like a 70. So
I will say though, this is a good month to have a light Game Pass drop, because we got so many bangers coming out from third-party studios. So we're gonna be busy this February with gaming.
I'm watching Ozark on Netflix. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, I'm actually doing the same. I'm just like on season 2, episode 4.
Oh no, I'm on the fourth season.
Y'all are tripping. Watch Peacemaker.
Oh, have you watched the new episode, Ethan?
Oh, don't say anything.
No, we're not doing spoilers.
I finished it yesterday.
I'm so excited.
The new episode was. Oof.
I'll be quiet. I'm just saying I finished it yesterday.
All right, guys. Story number 4. A Bioshock movie is being made. This was announced via the Twitter account Netflix Geeked. It's confirmed Netflix, 2K, and Take-Two Interactive are partnering to produce a film adaptation of the renowned video game franchise Bioshock. K.Asante, you a Bioshock guy and you excited for a movie?
I am a Bioshock guy, and I'm split about this, because there is a time before Arcane and a time after Arcane. Before Arcane, I would say this is trash. Why are you doing this? This platform deserves its kings. They belong there. They're best played, not necessarily viewed. But after Arcane, all bets are off. As long as the quality is high, I'm there for it day one. And so I guess my talk is go watch Arcane if you haven't seen it. It's absolutely insanely amazing. But yes, it's exciting. It's good. It's just this Hollywood stuff tends to be cash grabs, right? For every Arcane, there's like a million other things. So I hope that it doesn't drop the pedigree of Bioshock. We're actually waiting for another Bioshock, by the way. Where is that? Actually, you know what? I take that back. The next Bioshock in my eyes is going to be Atomic Heart, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic to see what this becomes, but you know what's going to turn out to be. My cynical brain keeps telling me this will be a reintroduction to the audiences that don't know what Bioshock is. So it's going to tread a lot of ground that we who are players of Bioshock already know. So it might not be great. We shall see. I'm there for it because I'm a gamer and I'll watch it, of course. But I just hope they put the amount of money and resources and talent and creativity and energy into it that they deserve.
Absolutely. Ethan, you're a Bioshock fan.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of television or movie adaptations of video games. I don't think the medium of television or movies can actually disseminate the storyline and the creative talent of gaming. I just don't think it ever translates well. I know I got flamed in the comments last week when we did that live react to the Halo trailer for Paramount Plus. Because I just don't trust these things. I mean, they destroyed Resident Evil. That left a bad taste in my mouth with all those movies. And, I just haven't seen evidence that Hollywood or any of these other studios that I haven't seen evidence that they can actually translate the story well into a motion picture. So I don't have high hopes. I will watch it because I watch them all. And usually I'm disappointed. So I'm just kind of on the edge with it.
Well, you're not alone. Mayday Bomber, I really don't want this, and I love Bioshock.
Right.
For anyone that doesn't know, a Mega Man movie is also in production at Netflix. So,
animated or like live action?
Don't know. I think it's live
Live
action. Hope
Live
not.
Oh no.
Hope not. That'd be creepy. Mega Man is like 4'8" or something in the actual show. So I don't possibly know how that's gonna work. Garrett, you're also a fan of Bioshock. Are you excited to see a Netflix adaptation?
I could be down for it because first off, the make or break of this, whether I will watch it or not, is if it's in Rapture or Columbia. I will not watch Columbia. I dislike that part of the series. But if what they're sort of going for is Purge underwater with superpowers, why wouldn't you? In a dystopian underwater city, I think that sounds like a great show. So, I don't know. I'll watch it for sure.
Aman, you're the last one I need.
I think this could either be a massive hit or a massive flop. There's some video games that I think can be translated really well into movies or TV shows, like what they're doing with Last of Us right now. I think
Sonic the
TV show-
Hedgehog.
So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog was also pretty good. The movie, what they're doing with Last of Us right now, the TV show sounds good so far.
Or
So, yeah, I think
Uncharted.
this could be. Uncharted was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie. It was a fun movie to watch. But yeah.
Yeah, not out here in the States yet.
So basically, what he's saying is it could either be Arcane or it could be Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Netflix is very hit or miss lately. They got some really good
They
shows.
got a live action One Piece coming soon.
No,
so.
don't.
Boy.
Oh my god, don't ruin my favorite anime.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, also a live action coming out soon.
Oh, no, please stop. Oh,
You
I
guys
heard
remember
it.
live action
reality
Bleach?
is that nothing will top Tiger
Leave it
King.
alone.
All I know is they're making a Sonic 3. They also announced, and they're making a Knuckles spin-off show for Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So-
cool. That's
I'm there for it. I haven't watched. I'm gonna wait. I haven't watched the Sonic movie yet, but
Yeah.
Not even the first one.
Really?
no, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh yeah,
which
it's
is
pretty good.
surprising because
Pretty
it's available on literally every streaming service ever.
It's pretty decent. You should watch it.
It's
pretty
it's
decent.
a fun movie to watch.
I do want to make one more point about movies and
Yeah.
television with games. It seems like directors of these projects, they really want to have a sort of pivotal moment or a world-changing moment in their television shows or their movies to actually make it worth go watching. In my opinion, those things don't belong in anything other than the video games. That's just my opinion. That's just how I feel I want to consume the content. Like, for example, we had that issue with the Halo thing. I don't like the idea that they might unmask Master Chief in the Paramount Plus show. I think that belongs in one of the mainline games. And you know I got a lot of heat for that, but I'm going to stick to my guns, is that I don't believe Master Chief should be unmasked in some Paramount Plus TV show. It should be in the next mainline Halo game. That's just my opinion. So hopefully they don't do this with Bioshock, where they completely change the world up and kind of ruin the lore of it.
Well, speaking of Halo, that was renewed for season 2, and the season 1 hasn't even aired. So Paramount Plus clearly
Wow.
thinks they got something on their hands there.
Interesting.
Or they
Still
just
looks
want.
cheap.
It does not look cheap. I'm sick of
It
this.
looks cheap.
Oh,
You
my
can
God.
tell it's a Hollywood set. It looks cheap. It looks like a sci-fi straight-to-TV movie.
Oh, where's Tom? I need some backup here.
It looks like they bought the
Now,
set
I
from
disagree with that.
SG1.
Thank you.
I
Fair
disagree
enough.
with that.
Yeah.
Yes. There are some cheap aspects to it, but it doesn't look cheap. It looks like they spent their money in certain parts and maybe kind of skimped on other parts. You know, we'll see where it goes.
Just
You know?
whenever somebody says the cheap thing, all I get is the mental picture of that, like the meme where that guy is like, how is it 200 years in the future they have a 2021 Yukon in the background?
yeah. There's definitely some places where they didn't move the product placement. They kept some cars, some AK-47s. You gotta do what you gotta do. But we're gonna move on to the last story, guys, before we wrap this up, and it's kind of a funny one, so I wanted to include it. I just found it today. But is Halo to blame for Battlefield's failure? Tom Henderson, frequent leaker, tweeted out an article where EA executives were discussing why Battlefield 2042 launched in such a poor state. One of the main reasons they said was obviously the pandemic impacting their development, but another reason they state was that Halo Infinite launched in such a good state that it made their bugs stand out more and the lack of polish shine through. I thought this was hilarious. I see you cracking up over there, K.Asante. So what, ridiculous, right?
Absolutely hilarious. That's amazing. And actually, it's funny you bring up Battlefield. I actually received a code for the Ultimate Edition of Battlefield, and I gave it away because I'm just not playing that game right now. But yes, that is absolutely hilarious, you know. And it's not to say that, you know, they poached our developer at a certain pivotal moment or anything like that. They stole our technology. No. We were going to release a buggy piece of crap, right? But it wasn't going to look that bad. And then you guys released a demo, a beta that looks way better. So it made us look worse. That's absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And obviously completely false, right? And since its release, Halo has had its growing pains as well. You know, the fact that he's able to say that is just hilarious to me. That's all I can say about it. That's terrible.
It's a funny one. Guys, you could just jump in here. It's kind of a silly story. So,
I
whatever you
think
got to
that's a
say.
moment of delusion at best. At worst, yeah. Like you said, you released a half-baked game and then compared it as Halo was a godly game when, as you could hear on this channel at least, we picked it apart pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just comedic relief for me. That's almost as bad as some of the other interviews. Who was that other one? The Days Gone guy. He was another funny interview. But
he's a good interview this week. And
yeah, I threw in my 2 cents.
Yeah. This is obviously them trying to save face to their shareholders and their board of directors. They're trying to come up with it. It's the same thing that CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk 2077. They're just trying to find scapegoats to why the development went awry. They're kind of right in the sense that the release of Halo Infinite did affect their bottom line. I mean, people saw just a better, superior product, and they went to that instead of Battlefield. And Battlefield was charging people $70 for a multiplayer only a game when Halo Infinite was offering a much better product with both a campaign and multiplayer. So yeah, this is just them trying to save face with shareholders. This is all business, all money. That's all that this is. That's all that this is. So no hard feelings, but they failed. They know they failed. Hopefully they come back stronger because of it.
So a quick question for me: do
Yeah.
you guys think this is as bad as what do you call it? Square throwing like the developers
Crystal
that made
Dynamics.
throwing Crystal Dynamic under the bus? I think it's around that same level of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think Square was worse because they
Yeah, I
just
do
threw their own
too.
studio under the bus there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I think that's the problem with these companies is because they're major stakeholders and major board members. They're not gamers. They don't know how this stuff works. All they care about is a return in investment. So you can tell them whatever the hell you want, and they're going to believe it.
So do you want to hear my tinfoil hat theory about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are money men, right? They're all about their
Right.
money, right? There is no way you would go out there and throw one of your own companies, your own developer under the bus, unless maybe you've sold them already and you want to tell your shareholders why you sold them.
Yeah.
So you throw them under the bus real quick so that later when you sell them and say, we sold them because remember we told you they weren't that good. My only theory. We'll know if it
like
works.
it.
It's just weird. Why else would you do that? I don't know.
I think we touched on that when that story came out as well, and we kind of. But yeah, it's not our fault. Crystal doesn't know how to make a live service game. Like they made Tomb
Wow.
Raider. Like what's the difference? It's ridiculous. But this EA story cracks me up because it's like, how are we supposed to know Halo is going to launch with a scoreboard? You wanted us to put a scoreboard in our game, like ridiculous. So that's a fun one to end off on, guys. But that's all we got this week. If you did like the show, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Time for plugs. So K.Asante, thank you so much for being here. We hope you had fun. It wasn't the most exciting news week. Acquisition season had happened a little while ago. But I hope you had fun, and please let everyone know where they could find you.
Oh no, I appreciate being invited. It's always fun talking games and talking the ridiculousness of the industry. So I appreciate being invited with such wonderful company, very intelligent takes on what's going on. And I actually, believe it or not, I like when the world isn't bowled over because then everybody has the same exact story they want to twist a little bit of aspects of. It's good to have some time to breathe. So thank you guys so much for inviting me. K.Asante, TKO Asante on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, all those places. Would give you my Switch handle, but I don't want to give you my social security number, so that's not happening. Let's see. This Saturday I will be doing the Gaming Circle podcast with my brother, Mr. Everborn Saga. We will actually have a great guest this week because we want to kind of talk a bit of tech. So we have Mads Gaming coming on, talking about next gen and what's out there and how it's going to affect future stuff and all that. So it should be interesting conversation if you want to check it out. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Saturdays, and I appreciate you guys for having me out. Whenever you want me, just send up the bat signal. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. We will definitely make sure to have you on at any point. And if you ever want any of us to come on your show, you send out and let us know more.
That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You're part of the Rolodex now. You're definitely coming. So
absolutely.
Yes.
And check out his podcast Saturday with Mads, friend of the show, one of our very first guests. Love him. He's a great guy. Ethan, where can they find you?
They can find me at White Cedar 1 on Twitter and Gravy3448 on Xbox.
Garrett, where can they find you?
They could find me at Wayworn on Xbox and Twitter. Let's play some games or talk them.
Hell yeah.
Amon, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Amon_M05.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon. That's a 1 to 7 I and an O instead of an A. Follow us at Project XTalk on Twitter to stay up to date with all our latest videos. We're dropping daily content. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel for those videos. I just dropped the complete history of Banjo-Kazooie, a video I put a lot of time and effort into.
So good.
So please go check it out. But until next time, guys, we'll see ya. Goodbye.